What's up, Urban Acolyte family? My name is Prince, and I am an Urban Acolyte. And this is going to be another episode of Star Wars Chats, and it's going to kind of be a follow-up to the video that I posted over the weekend where I talked about Snoke possibly betraying Kylo Ren and taking on Rey as his apprentice in episode 8. But before I get to the subject matter of tonight's chat, just want to give a special shout out to the Egyptian. I'm glad you're doing okay. Kinsey, if you're watching this video with your mom, you got to let her know that a shout out just means I'm saying, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Got to work on your English slang, butterfly. Also, another point to answer a question that I've been getting about my jacket. This is actually my meditation robe. I call it my dark acolyte robe to kind of give a nod to Star Wars: The Old Republic, because I'm a big fan of the Sith Inquisitor as a class and that storyline. And I go full assassin tank. I don't mess around with playing a sorcerer. If I ever get my Star Wars: Old Republic gaming channel back up and running. Been too busy for that. But there's been questions about where I get this. So I've got a link down below. It's an affiliate link to my Amazon store. I do have to let y'all know that if you buy this jacket through the affiliate link, that I receive a percentage of that money, and basically it just goes to help me continue to buy books and resources from Amazon to so all of that money gets reinvested into the channel. So make sure if you're interested in that, you can check it out. It runs between $30 and like $35 depending on the size, and I'm actually going to buy another one because I want one that's a little bit more bigger and baggier. Anyway, let's get to the topic. All right, so did Snoke talk to Rey at the end of The Force Awakens? Now, the reason I'm doing a follow-up to this is because in my video, I made a statement and I said, I don't think telepathy exists in Star Wars. A lot of people got upset and said, no, Prince, of course, telepathy exists in Star Wars. And what I meant to say, because I know some forms of telepathy exist in Star Wars. I even said, like, there's the Jedi mind trick. That is a form of telepathy. You're suggesting a thought and someone follows, but it only works on the weak-minded, right? Think about stormtroopers, especially the First Order stormtroopers. They've been receiving some kind of mental programming to make them more docile. Anyway, the same thing with the stormtroopers that work for the Empire. Unless you're like a highly skilled stormtrooper, like a Death Trooper that we saw in Rogue One and we're going to see in Star Wars Rebels, or a member of a Scar Squadron, someone highly trained, highly skilled, they're with I don't know about the Death Troopers. They may have received some additional programming, but think of these guys as like Navy SEALs. They're already pretty gung-ho, right? But they're going to be, they're going to have a lot of mental discipline, right? So not really weak-minded. But what I meant was we don't have telepathy on the level of like Professor X in the X-Men or Matt from Heroes, where you can completely get in somebody's head and reshape reality, their perception of reality. You can like easily push thoughts into their head from across vast distances, affect large numbers of people. Right now, we have not seen that in Star Wars, right? And in Wikipedia, it says that I looked up how telepathy exists in Star Wars, and it said telepathy was the ability to mentally communicate with other individuals. Some Force users were able to communicate via telepathy, and the Itochi Jedi Master Sassy 10 was a naturally superior telepath. The Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker was able to call out to his twin sister Leia Organa using telepathy when he needed rescuing on Cloud City, as did Darth Vader to convince Luke to turn to the dark side. Although not true telepaths, the Moran species were able to faintly sense the emotions of others. The disembodied Bomar monks, who remained alive as bottled brains mounted on spider-like droid legs, communicated telepathically with the help of a a telepath response unit. Kylo Ren was also an experienced telepath, capable of extracting information from even unwilling targets. Now, here's the thing, right? Because some of this telepathy that they mention, I would consider that's part of being an empath. If you can pick up on people's emotions, that's like being empathetic, right? And that's something that exists in the real world. I don't want to like mess up the science, but just Google. I just went blank. I think it's mirror neurons, right? Or think about. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know what you guys' experiences are, but I will give you a personal account, right? I used to have this friend. We were very close. At one time, people would have considered us soulmates, right? And for a short time, we also dated. And we got to a point where we could complete each other's sentences. She was in California, I was in Tennessee, and this was early on in our kind of long distance friendship before, we like started actually physically dating and living in the same area, in Arizona, a few years later. But things would happen to her and I would have like that Yoda thing going on. Skywalker suffering. I sense pain. Like literally that really happened. I was sitting with my cousin watching a movie and I said, something's wrong with my friend, in California, in LA. And later the next day, she wrote me an email. She had a really bad fight with her boyfriend at the time. Things got physical and it was really bad. And when the fight happened, it was the same time that I sensed it, right? Now, am I telepathic or am I an empath? Do I have some kind of special psychic abilities? I would say no. I think that people in the real world can connect with certain people, especially when you start getting into very contemplative practices. Like I believe that meditation, I know from myself and from other people who have done Neigong training, contemplative training, looked inward and become more aware of their surroundings, that you do start to pick up on what's going on with other people. And it's not a psychic ability. It's just you're becoming more aware of the signs going around you. So you'll have dreams where you'll see into the future. You'll have experiences where maybe it seems like you can communicate with other people without verbally speaking. That's why I said to look up mirror neurons in the enteric nervous system, because when I say real life Jedi, I'm not talking about woo-woo stuff. I'm telling you that there's more going on as you learn to tap in to your senses. There's more going on around you. And so the scene when Luke calls out to Leia and Leia senses Luke, I never saw that as telepathy. Twin telepathy, which is a real phenomenon that occurs in the real world. That's how I always looked at that. And you think about what the Jedi or force sensitive person, you are gifted and you are more connected to your senses. And so you perceive the world differently from people who are not gifted or have not trained themselves to be more aware in the way that a Chirrut Imwe or someone who has participated in the Guardians of the Wills training, or another group like that who does some form of Jedi training. And we have to say Jedi training because we don't have another word for that right now. Right? So I never saw that as telepathy. And even with Darth Vader calling out to Luke at the end of Empire Strikes Back, I never saw that as telepathy because they're all Skywalkers. Now, yes, Darth Vader does pull thoughts from Luke during their duel in Return of the Jedi, right? He sensed sister, he sensed his fears, but Palpatine also had the ability to do that, to sense, pick up on what people were thinking. I just assumed that was part of the Force, right? But telepathy, being able to push thoughts into people's heads, being able to get them to do what you want. we don't see that level of telepathy in Star Wars, not yet. Now, maybe this Master Sassy 10 is able to do that, but we haven't seen it yet, right? Or Kylo Ren pulling thoughts from people's heads, minds, right? I said Palpatine could do that, Vader could do that, and something that you need to notice, I'm like drawing a square around my notes, and you can't see that. Well, I guess because my notes are down here and y'all can see my iPad. But what is the common denominator in all of this that's available on telepathy in Star Wars? It's something that all of the Skywalker clan can do, right? So maybe telepathy exists in Star Wars, but what we've seen of telepathy mostly is contained to the Skywalker lineage, right? Leia, Luke, Vader, Kylo Ren, right? So, yes, was I wrong? Not really, because like I said, when I say telepathy, I mean something on the level of a Professor X, Matt from Heroes, a true telepath or psychic or whatever you want to call them. There is some level of telepathy in Star Wars, but, and that's why, as it says, the ability to mentally communicate with other individuals, but not to completely reshape their reality. We have not seen that yet. There are people who can suggest things, who can try to push thoughts on some level, but not a true telepath. Now, why is this important? That's because it all goes back to the idea that Snoke talked to Rey at the end of The Force Awakens in her lightsaber battle with Kylo Ren. And what Mike Zero said in his video, in the article that I was commenting on in my video, was based on his video. And he said that it is most likely he said that it's most likely, and it was Supreme Leader Snoke who spoke to Rey at the end during her battle, instructing her to kill Kylo Ren. And he said, we do know that Snoke has been in touch with Rey to a certain degree. Snoke has the power to persuade Rey to bring herself to him. And that's why I spent so much time saying, I don't think that Star Wars has telepathy on the level to make people do exactly what you want, right? Even the Force, why do I keep the mind trick? I want to say Force persuade, because that's what it is in the video game. You can persuade people, you can give them a nudge, but you can't just completely take control of them. We have not seen them make people do what they want, push thoughts into someone's head over a long distance, right? And I keep saying that because it's important. Now, what does the novelization actually say? So the cinematic novelization, or the adult novel, describes that scene: one downward cut she saw, one quick final strike, and she could kill him. The landing lights of a shuttle appeared in the distance, coming over the trees in her direction. She had to make a decision now. Kill him, a voice inside her head said. It was amorphous, unidentifiable, raw, pure vengeful emotion. So easy, she told herself. So quick. She recoiled from it, from the dark side. Okay, so was it Snoke saying kill him, but then so easy, so quick? That was Rey, because it says so easy, she told herself, so quick. So did Snoke tell her to kill him, and then Rey is thinking, oh, this could be easy, it could be quick? Or was it the entire time Rey, the dark side in Rey, reaching out to her? Now, I'm going to go to the junior novelization of that scene, right? It says, Ren pointed his lightsaber at her. I could kill you right now, but there is another way. Rey snarled at him. You're a monster. No, you need a teacher, he said. I can show you the ways of the Force. The Force, she repeated, sounding confused and exasperated all at once. She closed her eyes for a moment, then lunged at Ren again, more furious than before. And for once, Kylo Ren dueled an opponent who had more anger than he. Or maybe what fueled her wasn't anger. Maybe it was an emotion he didn't recognize anymore. Whatever it was, it took him down. Staggering back to his feet, his parry could not match the strength of her swing. It cast his lightsaber out of his grasp. Ren extended a hand, calling on the Force to ward off her attacks. At first it worked, as she slashed into the iron shield of his will, but then her blade cut across his face. It burned. He looked up at the girl whose lightsaber hovered over his chest. He shivered under the coldness of her stare. He, who had been so eager to kill, was not eager to die. Kylo Ren was afraid. The girl withdrew from him. Ren watched her walk back to the prone form of FN 2187. She had the chance to kill him, yet did not. Did the girl think she was actually stronger than him? Or worse, did she pity him? The ground heaved and fractured between Ren and the two youths. She did not look back at Ren, but he sneered at her. While the planet erupted around her, the girl knelt to cradle the body of her friend. She was such a fool. She would die there. Okay, so the junior novelization skips over that kill him and all of that stuff where supposedly Snoke was speaking to Rey completely. And what it implies is that when they're in the saber lock, that Rey was using the Force to make her faster, to make her stronger, to help her overpower Kylo Ren. And if we're gonna start talking about lightsaber styles and everything, it sounds like she was using Vapad. Now, of course, she wasn't. Unless you think of Vapad as you're tapping into the dark side, in the same way, Juyo, or however you pronounce it, I really don't care. Form 7, the Sith version of it, which is the J word, where you use the Force to make yourself stronger. That sounds like what she's doing here. Now, I'm not going to say that, oh, she knew Vapad, because she didn't, right? Her lightsaber training was a carryover of how she used a staff. I showed that in a previous video. That is confirmed in the visual guide written by Pablo Hidalgo. So if you want to argue with me, kind of don't care, because that's what Pablo says. But she used the Force to overpower Kylo Ren, right? And that immediately opened her up to the dark side. So did Snoke speak to Rey? No, I don't think so. Does Snoke possess some form of telepathy? That we don't know yet, but I am most positive that Snoke is not speaking to Rey using some form of telepathy, because Snoke has not contacted Rey at all. And as far as Snoke betraying Kylo Ren for Rey, well, I talked about it in the last video. I don't think that's the case at all. Like I said, I think that Snoke doesn't want Rey to become a Jedi, to find Luke Skywalker, because that poses a threat to his plans, and it poses a threat to the mystical branch of the First Order, right? So if you have someone strong in the Force, bring them into the fold, right? Betraying Kylo Ren and taking on Rey as your new apprentice sounds like a very Sith thing to do, like the Bane Order of Sith. And if Snoke is interested in having the strongest person, why do you have the Knights of Ren, right? Even if they're not Force sensitive, why do you have them if they're part of the mystical branch of the First Order? You don't want to create an army of people who are devoted to whatever your philosophy is on the Force, whether they're Force users or not, because we've seen Chirrut Imwe. So anyone can train in these methods and develop some connection to the Force. Whether they'll be able to shoot lightning and do Jedi or Sith types of things, they have to be gifted to be able to do that. But to walk and see the Force and perceive the Force, well, we've seen that a person who's not gifted can indeed do that, and that's more of a topic that I'll cover in my video on Chirrut Imwe. But anyway, that's all I got for this episode of Star Wars Chats. But what do you guys think about Snoke talking to Rey? What are your thoughts on the telepathy? Do you agree with what I had to say, or do you disagree? So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and I'll be checking to see what you guys have to say. And also make sure to keep coming back this week, because I'm going to drop some serious heat. I'm going to finally get my Chirrut Imwe video up. I've got to get that video up on Finn and his lightsaber scenes, because I'm going to reference that in some other videos I've got coming in my plans for playing videos this week. And I think I'll also kind of tackle this topic that everyone is the latest popular Rey theory, the Rey theory of the month, and that's this whole Rey Kenobi thing. Right? So I'm gonna give you 5 reasons that Rey might be a Kenobi, and then I'm gonna attempt to knock them all down because I'm not so sure about that, but I try to always present both sides of the argument. So make sure you check back for that. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click on that subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Go ahead, make the commitment to using your love for Star Wars to help you make positive changes in your life and in your community around you. Make sure to continue to support the channel by checking out some more of my videos. And that's all I got for now. So thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the Force be with you always.